Hello sinners! How are ya? On today's installment of the Letterboard of Truth, our quote of the day is sweater weather. I even wore one of my favorite sweaters in solidarity. If you know, you know. TarasWrld. You know her, you love her, and not only will she finna be in the pit, but she'll also finna be in the club. If you've never heard of her, Tara Lynn, famously known as TarasWrld online, is a popular lifestyle influencer and adult entertainer. A lot of people don't know this, but Tara actually suffers from a chronic condition, and that chronic condition is foot and mouth disease. With your help, maybe one day we'll find a cure. For just 10 cents a day. However, if you're on TikTok, I would be surprised if you didn't know who Tara was, given that she cannot keep herself out of hot water. I feel like she's been in a scandal every few weeks for the past 6 months. It's gotten to the point where Tara's bi-monthly cancellations are how I keep track of time now. In her short but notable time on TikTok, Tara has been accused of racism, classism, drunk driving, and alleged animal abuse. She's also managed to piss off the Harry Styles fandom, and as of recently, sapphics. Same difference, really. So I will be going through a timeline of Tara's controversies from September to now, just to give you a little more background on Tara as an online personality. And with that being said, let's explore Tara's world. Excuse me. Was that lady bothering you? Oh, no, that wasn't me. I'm in a different shirt. What's your love language? Is it physical touch, quality time, maybe words of affirmation? People get turned on in all sorts of ways, and Dipsea has invented a new love language with sexy stories that'll suit whatever mood you're in. Dipsea is an app with hundreds of short, sexy audio stories designed by women for women. Happy Women's History Month, by the way. They bring scenarios to life with immersive soundscapes and realistic characters. You can discover stories about second chance romances, adventurous vacation flings, and hot and heavy hookups. A variety of stories are available for straight and queer listeners, and 56% of Dipsea stories are voice acted by people of color. Dipsea is all about inclusion, so there is something for everyone. Yeah. Even you. You can listen to stories voiced by Serenus J. Jackson, ER Fightmaster, and Luke Cook, and I guarantee you've never heard celebrities like this before. Dipsea has soothing sleep stories and wellness sessions, as well as sexy stories to read. Starting today, let Dipsea be your go-to place to spice up your me time, explore your fantasies, relax and unwind, or heat things up with your significant other. For listeners of the show, Dipsea is offering an extended 30-day free trial when you go to dipseastories.com/Annamarie. That's DIPSEA stories.com/Annamarie. Just in case you forgot, that's dipseastories.com/Annamarie. By supporting wonderful companies like Dipsea, you're also supporting the channel. So thank you, the viewer, and thank you to Dipsea for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to your scheduled programming. Now let's go back to September 2022. Now I would consider this first scandal as the catalyst for Tara's endless cycle of controversy. In early September, Tara posted a TikTok from her car complaining about an app called Be Real. Be Real was very popular last summer and last fall, and it's an app where the user shares photos at different times of the day. No one knows when they'll get the notification, which makes Be Real more authentic than other social media apps. Anyway, Tara was venting about how no one works anymore, supposedly, and what does she base this theory on? The fact that some of her friends on Be Real posted photos of themselves laying in bed in the middle of the day.
Does anybody have a job? Does anyone work? I swear to God, this Be Real shit, like, I I like get shit on myself all the time, even though I'm the most productive person ever. Like, I'm always doing something. I'm never in bed in the middle of the day. And then I got B-Reel, and this B-Reel could go off at 11 a.m., 1 p.m., 3, it doesn't matter. Everyone's in bed. There's an alarming amount of people every time that B-Reel goes off that are just in bed with the shades drawn. And it makes me feel so good about myself. I'm like, why are you in bed? Seems like nobody wants to work these days. Get your ass up and work. No, like, for real though, like, this is crazy. Like, get out of bed.
She's 100% right. From one social media mogul superstar CEO of the world, I can't even say that with a straight face, no one works hard like us influencers. Do you know how much muscle power it takes to flick my fan? Sometimes I have to do 2 or even 3 takes. I can't even tell you how sore my arm is afterwards. Oh, you stood on your feet for 12 hours at your dead-end job? Well, I have to memorize 8 words for my intro. Otherwise, my subscribers will flip out. I have to show an unbelievable amount of restraint not to say, howdy sinners, or okay sinners, what's up? Because it's alrighty, well hello sinners, how are you? And you wouldn't know hard work if it hit you in the head with my lesbian fan. I promise I was being facetious, but if I ever become that oblivious, I give you full permission to hit me over the head with my lesbian fan. Most people had a very visceral reaction to Tara's video. I think what sparked all the backlash was the fact that a different TikToker named Michaela Nagera got in trouble around the same time for similar behavior.
Try being an influencer for a day. Try it. Charlotte freaking did it.
I think people are just tired of influencers acting entitled, and rightfully so. Because I don't think the average viewer wants to be told they need to work harder by some rich influencer, especially since part of her job is showing off how much money she spends at Sephora and Starbucks.
Me and Jordy just spent like a little over $10,000 in an hour.
As more and more people were calling Tara out around this time, users came to discover some interesting findings from her past. Some of her tweets from 2016 to 2019 started circulating on TikTok. Tara's 23 now, so she would have been 17 to 20 when these were posted, so keep that in mind.
Just some of TarasWrld's tweets. Like, ma'am, I knew I didn't like you for a reason.
Oh my God, no way.
Let's break this down. Obviously, the posts that were featured were very racist and classist, but what really got me though was the 4th tweet of the girl in blackface. From my understanding, a different person tweeted out a photo of Tara's friend doing blackface. I don't know what you were going for, and I don't really care, but never do this again. This is highly offensive no matter the motive. But Tara responded to the accusation and said, but if a black person put white makeup all over them, everyone would say it's funny. Tara would have been 17 at the time, so old enough to know that blackface is inexcusable. And no, a black person painting their face white is not the same thing, just like how reverse racism doesn't exist. Starting in the mid-19th century, white performers would smear shoe polish or cork onto their faces, wear dirty clothing, and exaggerate their features to look stereotypically black. Blackface was used in minstrel shows to dehumanize and humiliate black people, depicting them as ignorant, lazy, cowardly, or hypersexual. Minstrel shows were usually the only depiction of black life that white audiences saw. Presenting enslaved Africans as the butt of jokes desensitized white Americans to the horrors of slavery. The performances also promoted demeaning stereotypes of black people that helped confirm white people's notions of superiority. By distorting the features and culture of African Americans, including their looks, language, deportment, and character, white Americans were able to codify whiteness across class and geopolitical lines as its antithesis. I wish I could say this was a thing of the past, but many modern celebrities have been caught doing blackface. How silly of me to think that we should learn from our egregious mistakes. But don't worry, sinners. It only gets worse from here. Rumors of Tara getting multiple DUIs began to spread all over TikTok. In case you don't know, a DUI is when a person is driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs. It doesn't always mean that the driver was taking illegal drugs, because DUIs also include being under the influence of prescription or over-the-counter drugs. Personally, I could not find evidence that Tara got multiple DUIs. It very well could have happened, but I didn't come across any proof. However, Tara's admitted that she got a DUI at 18 years old in a TikTok from 2020, and she also revealed that she's crashed into cars and other things.
So, a lot of people ask me why I don't drive. So I compiled a list of why I can't drive. I got a DUI when I was 18.
What an opener.
I ran over a gas pump, knocked it over, ran it over, then left, got a hit and run. I've hit a deer. I've hit a bird. I played bumper cars off of a fucking curb once and ruined my car. I've hit a plaza sign. I have T-boned somebody and their car door came off. I rear-ended someone in DC. I rear-ended somebody else in Providence and it broke my stepdad's wrist who was in the passenger seat. I hit a brand new BMW in a parking lot. I have hit a big rock that really totaled my car. I floored it through a lake and soaked my engine, so that ruined my engine. I have hit a couch on the highway going about 75 miles per hour, and I've also hit somebody's Jeep in a rental car. I had to get a rental car for a rental car. Let's play Guess My Insurance in the comments. Let's play Guess Tara's car insurance. Guess how much it is. You don't want to...
Listen, I'm sure we've all made goofs while driving. I'm certainly not a stranger to hitting a curb or two in a parking lot. However, it's rather odd to admit online that you've committed a literal crime more than once, mind you, like you're telling a funny story to your friends. Imagine being this flazé-da as you admit to driving under the influence. This seems like a very delicate situation, and you would think that someone in Tara's position would approach the topic gently and with compassion, considering that she literally could have injured or killed someone, and thank goodness she didn't. But no, Tara's like, I'm so quirky and silly and funny, even though I literally drove while I was drunk, T-boned someone, crashed into this person and that person, and then crashed into a gas pipe. I'm not like other girls, I'm a driving hazard. I hope that Tara has learned from her mistakes, not just for her own safety, but for the safety of everyone around her. All I'm saying though is that if you're in LA, maybe stay off the roads. I wish I could say that was everything that came out in September, but alas, it is not. And as much as I've tried, I can't avoid it any longer. Let's talk about the bird situation. In 2021, Tara adopted an African gray parrot named Marty, and Tara's made a lot of content about Marty and being a pet bird owner. In many of these early videos, Tara was petting Marty on the back, and other bird owners warned her that petting birds in certain places can sexually arouse them. I've never had a pet bird, so I had no idea this was a thing, but it's true apparently. Physical hugging or scratching around the head is acceptable, but scratching, stroking, or petting your bird around the back, rump, and hind end may cause sexual stimulation. Redirect your bird's attention towards other toys and healthy interactive play with you, the owner. Tara must have seen the comments pointing this out, but instead of redirecting Marty's attention, cause what normal pet owner wants to purposely stimulate their pet, this is how she responded.
I just got back from making out with girls at the club.
The fact that she foreshadowed her most recent scandal, her mind, it's so powerful.
I just got back from making out with girls at the club, and I'm gonna let you guys in on the dirty little creepy secrets of the bird, the parrot. I don't know if anyone knows this, but like, if you touch a bird on its back or under its wings, it like sexually arouses the bird. And for the first the first 4 months I had Marty, like I didn't know that. I got comments like, don't touch him on his back, you're turning him on. I was like, fuck off. So I'd touch his back, I'd rub under your wings, okay. And then he started screaming all day long, like all day. He would scream all day long. I was like, why is he screaming, you know? He was screaming because he was sexually frustrated because I wasn't like continuing to touch and do good stuff. So Marty is sexually attracted to me.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. You would need to hook me up to a medieval torture device to get me to say something like that.
And you know what? Sometimes I do still touch under the wings. And we're gonna have eggs one day. You want me to touch in a good spot? Yeah? I'm such a sick
Yeah,
And like I still do it sometimes. I'm a terrible person, but like it's like funny. It's funny because like now I know, you know? See, now I know when I touch right there. Ding dong. Yeah, you're swing yum yum.
What's going ding dong, Tara? Care to share with the class?
Sometimes I get Marty's hopes up. I'm like, you know what? One day we're gonna have eggs, and we're gonna have a family just from touching under those wings. He's like, boy, we're having kids. He wants more. You want more? 'Cause you're a sick. Oh.
Let this serve as a reminder that you don't need to share every thought with the internet. It's okay to keep things to yourself. In fact, I encourage it. Normalize undersharing on social media. We'd all be better off. I should put that on a t-shirt. As a pet owner myself, I couldn't imagine talking about or even thinking of my cats in that way. It's gross and it's really f***ed up. Steve Will Do It was a different influencer who got called out because he also joked about arousing his pet, but he got in trouble for admitting that he off his puppy.
Like, there's plenty of reasons. I gotta control where the goes.
Okay.
And I feel like he likes me better than he likes me way better than Selena now. I'm the cool dad, dude.
I'll be honest, I didn't see this conversation going that way, but it's
crazy.
I kind of respect it.
That sentence makes me want to die. I know many folks like edgy humor, and people like Tara and Steve will claim it's a joke until they're blue in the face. There's gotta be a point, though, where you step back and say, hey, maybe I'm pushing it a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't take it so far. But that requires self-awareness, and that's a lot to ask for from certain people. As this video goes on, the knot in the pit of my stomach just gets bigger and bigger. Speaking of pits, fast forward to November 2022. This is probably how a lot of you came to know Tara, since a soundbite from this incident went viral for weeks. She really got herself in a Harry situation. Alright. Essentially what happened is, Tara was documenting her experience of seeing Harry live for multiple nights in a row when he was performing in Los Angeles. This night in particular was Harryween, and Tara bought 2 pit tickets for her and her friend through StubHub at around $900 a piece, but they were never sent to her email. Tara called StubHub's customer service line to see what the issue was, but apparently the representative was super unhelpful. However, Tara was offered balcony tickets in compensation, but she was not happy about that.
I was like, no, like, I finna be in the pit. I was like, no, like, I finna be in the pit. 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 Finna be in the pit.
Like, come on, Tara. You sound like you're on the Disney Channel. Did you expect people to be like, yeah, you know what? She should finna be in the pit. Go off, queen. I do understand why Tara was frustrated. She paid a company for a product. She should get that product. Is complaining to the general public on TikTok the best way to handle it? Instead of accepting the balcony seats, Tara went on a different ticket app and found 2 new pit tickets. Only these costed $4,200 each. You could put a down payment on a new 2022 Range Rover for that same price.
I go on Vivid Seats and SeatGeek, and there's 1 ticket left on each site. After taxes, $4,200 each. I buy them. Because what other choice do I have? And thank God those worked, but I spent $10,000 on all these tickets.
I mean, of course, because it's life or death. What was she supposed to do? Not spend $8,000 on small indie artist Harry Styles?
In like a cool way.
On a personal note, no matter how financially stable I am, I don't think I could ever spend that much money to see someone live. Like, that is an outrageous amount of money to spend on one concert. Tara can spend however much on Harry concerts. That's her money, that's her life. More power to her. For me though, it's not worth it. I'm gay, so I'm not the greatest at math, but let's add everything up. So originally, Tara bought 2 pit tickets at $890 each, which comes to $1,780 in total. Then for the SeatGeek tickets, those came to $4,200 a pop. I could faint just from reading that. Altogether, Tara spent $10,180 on one concert when she's already seen him 87 times before. Let me put that into perspective for you. According to Google, the average mortgage payment is $1,696 a month in the state of California. So Tara could have made 6 mortgage payments for what she spent on one Harry concert. Tara came out in a later TikTok and revealed that she spent $30,000 in total for 17 Harry Styles concerts. That's like someone's yearly salary, and she's casually spending it in just a couple weeks.
You know those TikToks where someone's talking about something that was really expensive and the audio is like 30,000. I spent $30,599 on Harry concert. I'm gonna go like work and pretend like I didn't pay Harry's electric bill for like the next 10 years.
So a third of that money alone went to a single concert. Wow. I could pay off my student loans with the amount of money she spent on Harry Styles in 2022. The longer I think about it, it is quite bold of Tara to get into TikTok and complain how she just had to spend $10,000 on Harry Styles, because God forbid she was caught in the balcony with a bunch of peasants. Eventually, she got into TikTok to address the situation, and I'm not gonna call this an apology because there was no apology. So just like I did last week, I'm gonna consider this her acknowledgement video.
Okay, let's bang this all out in one video, all right? First off, let's get one thing clear. I'm not gonna be sitting here crying and talking about how sorry I am over the stupidest I've ever seen in my life. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm crying over this shit just so I can get mean people to like me again. I'm not gonna do that. I'm never gonna change my personality or my sarcastic humor to make people like me.
I agree. You don't have to change who you are. You shouldn't have to change your personality to get people to like you. But self-reflection is important. And it's also important to take a step back and realize how your words affect others, especially since you're a public figure.
I'll make this short and sweet for you. So when I first got Marty, my bird, I didn't do any research at all, which is the worst idea. Don't ever do that. Make sure to do a lot of research before you get a pet, because I didn't know anything.
Props to Tara for not encouraging that. Like she just said, if you want to get a pet, make sure to do your research and prepare.
So when I first got him, I would make TikToks with him, and like I'd be like petting his back or whatever, because like where am I gonna pet the thing, you know? And I started to get like a few comments here and there being like, don't touch him there, like that can like turn them on. And I thought this was the funniest thing in the world. And so I eventually looked it up, and it's true. Like if you touch a bird on their back or under their wings, I guess that can like sexually arouse them. So I made this like dumb video because like me and my mother thought that that was the funniest. It's not funny, but we thought it was crazy. That's a thing. So we'd make jokes about it all the time, and then I made that dumb video like, oh, I still do it sometimes. I was joking, okay? But I get it. Some things are better left in the family group chat. That was a f***ing joke.
Even if it was a f***ing joke, you still touched Marty in those specific spots 3 times in that one TikTok video.
So I will never be defending myself again on why I am the best owner for that bird. I love that bird more than f***ing anything. I would do anything for that bird. So shut the f*** up.
If you're gonna call me out for turning my bird on, you need to shut the f*** up. How dare there be consequences for my actions?
Second thing, the finna shit. First of all, I don't even know why that came out of my mouth. I never even say that. It just sort of came out because I was flustered. But that's also the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my. I've been asking people in my life about this whole situation. I'm like, what do you think? And they're like, that's stupid. If you guys are that mad about something like that, you are not gonna make it through this life. I'm just gonna tell you that right now.
I don't think anyone was genuinely mad at you. You sounded ridiculous. Of course you were gonna be memed to death. Welcome to the internet. You even joined in on the joke at one point.
I was like, no, like, I finna be in the pit. This generation is so great in certain ways, don't get me wrong, but so f***ed up in other ways like that. Like, shut the f*** up. It blew my mind. I was like, you guys just find anything. I think it's just, you know, people love to sit online and pick it apart and then make up these crazy scenarios, these crazy narratives about how I'm racist. No.
Bestie, the proof is right there. You literally defended someone doing blackface, and you haven't recanted that statement or anything else that you said that was racist. So, at least as far as I know.
There was one more thing. Oh, I spent $10,000 on those tickets because I had no other choice, because that's what I wanted to do with my money. I wasn't so much I was definitely complaining. I was frustrated, okay? But like, it was my decision to do that with my money. I was just telling a story because I've never spent that much on concert tickets in my life. And of course, I'm very grateful and blessed that I am able to do that. Yeah, everything's relative. Just keep that in mind. And, I'm so grateful to be able to buy tickets like that. That's why I've given away 10 tickets to these shows, because I want to sort of give back.
I agree. It's her money. Tara's entitled to spend it how she pleases. But Tara has to acknowledge the optics of the situation. How did she think the average TikTok user was going to react to a rich influencer complaining about rich influencer problems? We finally reached the present day. Well, the present day was like days ago by now, but as a lesbian, I feel compelled to give my thoughts on the next situation, even if I'm a week late. In the past several days, Tara has become public enemy #1 with the sapphics after she came out as bisexual, and then uncame out as bisexual. Going into this, I was like, we already have Ellen and Ariel Scarcella. We don't need another problematic gay in the community. A couple weeks ago, Tara posted a get ready with me and announced that she was gonna be hooking up with a girl for the first time.
Get ready with me to get laid by a girl for the first time. I am literally eating for the first time ever today, and I'm so excited. I have literally been dreaming about this since I was like in middle school. This girl like hit me up the other day, like she called me and she was like, hey, do you want to have like a naked pillow fight? Like just do like a pillow fight moment and like be hot.
She made plans to film content for OnlyFans with another adult entertainer named Lila Gibney. If you recall, Lila was in the news a few years back when she was kicked out of the Team 10 house because she is a transgender woman.
Actually like wine drunk when she called me and proposed this idea, and I'm like super ballsy when I'm wine drunk and I'll say whatever the hell I want, whatever I'm feeling. So I was like, nah, like I want to like you, you know? And I just like said that and she was like, oh my God, like I was hoping you'd say that. So now we're like fully hooking up and I'm like so nervous, but I'm excited too. Like I've literally wanted to do this for like my entire life, but I just never have, because like it's scary to like do something for the first time. Like I don't want to be like bad at it.
By this point, I kind of felt for Tara because I was also really nervous before my first experience with another girl. Exploring your sexuality can be liberating, but also super intimidating, and performance anxiety is a legit thing. So part of me can empathize with Tara's feelings here as someone who was once a baby gay. And I truly wanted to give Tara the benefit of the doubt. I really tried, but as the saga continued, Tara started to lose me very fast.
I unfortunately have to get plastered in order to do this. So it's literally 11:30 in the morning right now and I'm about to make a cocktail. Just because like I'm an extremely socially awkward person. I have like extreme social anxiety with even just like hanging out with someone, let alone doing this. So I definitely need a few or like 9 drinks.
Yeah, no. Drinking a copious amount of alcohol is not a healthy or productive way to deal with your social anxiety. I used to do the same thing in my first 2 years of college. When I'd go to frat parties with my friends, I needed to get tipsy in order to have a good time or even to just talk to someone outside of my friend group. Otherwise, I'd be really anxious. Sure, alcohol helped ease my anxiety in the moment, but long term it did nothing for me. Self-medication is not the answer, especially if you're gonna be in a sexual situation. So hearing that from Tara makes me very concerned.
I'm gonna be a menace with the b****s in LA after I get this little practice run in. I've never talked about like my sexuality on here at all, just cause like, I don't know. Here's the conclusion that I've come to after the course of my entire life. I am like both sexually attracted to women and men, like especially women. Like not to sound like a whore, but like I wanna every woman in sight.
I get it, women are beautiful. Hi, hello. But when you say you want to f*** every woman in sight, you're talking about women in the same way some straight men talk about women. Plus, considering the fact that you're only doing this for adult entertainment, seems to me that you're only hooking up with a girl to appeal to your male audience, as if sapphic relationships aren't fetishized enough.
But like, I've never had like an emotional thing with a girl. Like, I don't think I could like date a girl because I'm very like, I've only ever had like severe crushes on like men. Wait, I sound like such a man right now. I'm like, yeah, I want to all the but I don't want to date them. What the
Again, you sound like a straight dude. Listen, Tara can be bisexual and hetero-romantic. That's valid. She can be hetero-flexible. That's also valid. She can even be bisexual with a preference for men. That is also valid. For most people, bisexuality isn't a 50-50 thing. But from my interpretation, it appears though that Tara only views sapphic relationships in a sexual light, and to me, that comes across as internalized homophobia and misogyny.
I've had a crush on one girl, like an actual like big crush on a girl. She lives here in LA, but like we never like I never told her that. So like we never like pursued anything. My face will be going through the ringer today, so let's set this in place. I'm like begging y'all to wish me luck, but if you want to see it, you know where to find it. This is the start of an era for me, and I couldn't be happier.
As a lesbian, that video made me feel icky. A lot of people, especially straight men, only see sapphic relationships as an option on Pornhub, and Tara's actively feeding into that. People don't take sapphic relationships seriously because we're sexualized all the time. A lot of Tara's fans kept asking her for updates on her experience with Lila, and this is what she had to say.
You sick She tasted great, but this isn't the platform that you should be asking me that on. Go to the other one, because this is all I can show you. I don't even know if this is okay for this platform. This is before I tasted the greatness of a woman. Wait, what? Sorry. Wait, what? Sorry!
Sapphics did not respond kindly to Tara, as we shouldn't. The sapphic community is objectified enough in society, but Tara should rename herself Stanley Yelnats, because all she can do is dig herself into a deeper hole.
Get ready with me to go run errands, my favorite thing to do in the entire world. Everyone is like tweaking out because I hooked up with a girl for work when I have a boyfriend. No, we are not in an open relationship, but he was more than okay with it. He literally came over and like hung out with us when we were done. Also, like, I'm straight. Like, I've always wanted to like hook up with a girl and like I kiss girls all the time, but I don't think I could ever like date a girl. I've only ever been like emotionally into like men.
So since you're straight now, you admit to sexualizing sapphics for profit. Is that what I'm hearing? I don't know if Lila is queer or not, or if she's in the same boat as Tara. But Tara's certainly not the only straight person to do this. I would say a good majority of adult lesbian films feature straight women. And they're certainly not made for lesbians either. They're actually made for straight men and their sexual desires.
I think it was like the third or fourth time me and my now boyfriend were hanging out. He brought me to this like event and I saw this girl there that I knew and like we kissed. I kiss all of my girlfriends like all the time. It's just what we do. And he was so excited. Like his eyes lit up. He was like, you can do that whenever you want. It was the funniest thing ever. Like he was so excited.
So not only are you exploiting sapphic relationships for money on OnlyFans, you're also doing it to please your creepy boyfriend. Got it. I'm so sick and tired of sapphic relationships being used as vessels for weird men to off to. Again, this is why we're not taken seriously.
I remember my last boyfriend, well, we never like officially dated, but like we basically were. He was so insecure about that kind of thing. I remember I asked him once, I was like, how would you feel if I like kissed a girl? Because most guys like love that.
Oh, Neptune.
He got so mad at me, like yelling at me, being like, I can't believe you want to kiss somebody. I was like, no, not in that way. Like,
no. I don't want to kiss another person. I want to kiss another woman. Big difference.
I just figured I'd ask. Like, he was kind of crazy. And like, to each their own. It was just funny. I was like, you're lying to me right now. Like, most guys like love that.
You've really done it, Tara. You're really gonna make me side with a man? A straight man at that? Woo! Hetero rights, I guess. Your ex was 100% right and based, and I want to give him a firm handshake. He didn't want you kissing another woman because he views sapphic relationships as real relationships.
But yeah, I would never like hook up with a guy for my OF. Like, even if I didn't have a boyfriend, I just wouldn't do that. Especially if I have a boyfriend. I would if like I was like dating the person, but I don't think I would just like hook up with some dude. But girls are different because they are magical and perfect.
And because my male subscribers will pay me more when I hook up with girls. Fix that for you. The rest of the video is just life updates about her dad coming into town and how she doesn't like one side of her face. Who'd care, really? In a shocking turn of events, Tara doubled down again. Tripled down even. After even more heat from the LGBTQ+ community, Tara filmed one final video for her TikTok page to address the situation.
On this week's episode of What Am I Getting Canceled For, I am homophobic and fetishizing lesbians because I like to kiss girls. And then on the other side, everyone's projecting their daddy issues onto me. Welcome to my world. This is better than cable, I'll tell you that much.
So I don't know where the daddy issues claim is coming from. To me, it just seems like a deflection tactic. All the comments I saw were about her internalized homophobia and misogyny. People aren't calling you homophobic or saying that you fetishize lesbians because you kiss girls. People are accusing you of these things because you're contributing to the stigma that sapphic relationships only exist for men's pleasure. You literally admitted it when you said that your boyfriend gets excited at the thought of you kissing another woman. This actively harms our community and completely warps people's perceptions of sapphic relationships.
Who needs OBX3 when you have my comment section? You know what I mean? I have a couple of things that will really piss you guys off. Hold on. Me and my dad are best friends. Cry about it. I don't give a fuck. And I love kissing girls. Like, suck a dick and cry about it.
For someone who has said in the past that you don't care what people think about you, you really do get defensive when people disagree with you. Instead of actually listening to sapphics about the harm you've done to our community, and at one point you considered yourself one of us, you just tell us to suck a dick and cry about it. Okay, this shows me, at least, that Tara has no intent of learning or growing from this.
And honestly, if your entire life mission is to sit on your couch and scrutinize my every move, if we're being real, it's kind of entertaining, so you can keep going. But man, do I feel bad for you. Holy
You know, I've spent hours on this script, scrutinizing your every move since September. So yeah, I will keep doing what I'm doing. I'm way too far in not to. In the words of someone much wiser than me, just because it's over doesn't mean it's really over. Those are lyrics from the song Never Really Over, and I felt it would be an appropriate reference because I assume Tara's a big Katy Perry fan. Like all good canceled influencers, Tara's gone on a press tour to talk about how canceled she is. She was invited on a podcast called Plan Brie Uncut, starring Brianna Chicken Fry. I really hope that's not her legal name. Imagine going to jury duty at 8 in the morning and the judge calls for a Brianna Chicken Fry. I'd lose my mind. Also, I'm pretty sure Brianna is a part of Barstool Sports, so interpret that how you will. I'm not going to go through the entire 50-minute podcast because I don't hate you guys that much, so I'm only going to show the clip of Tara discussing the most recent controversy with Brianna and her co-host Grace.
I was out at dinner like a week ago, like getting drunk with my boyfriend. We were like, I was so wine drunk. And Lila called me. You guys know Lila?
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Love.
So she called me and she was like, I wanna like hook up for OnlyFans. I was like, oh, no, what'd she say? She was just like, oh, like let's just like make out and like
Pillow
be hot.
fight.
Yeah, have like
Yeah.
a naked pillow fight for OnlyFans. I was like, no, like I wanna like
Be in the
eat your
pit.
pussy.
Sorry.
Don't apologize, Queen. Your comedic timing was perfect.
So we like made a plan to do it, and then I made like a get ready with me to like do it. And I was just saying like, oh yeah, like I love kissing girls, like it's so fun, like I've always wanted to like hook up with a girl, but like I've only ever dated guys, like I'm pretty sure I'm like straight in that way. I just like think girls are hot and I like to kiss girls like when I'm out drinking, like I always kiss girls, like whatever. And like people took that as like I fetishize lesbians and like just like that, like I'm like I've internalized homophobia, like all these crazy narratives came out of that, and I was just like, okay, like I didn't even know how to respond to it, you know?
Again, Tara's acting like people are coming for her solely because she kisses other women, which is such a misinterpretation. If you want to kiss other women, that's fine. I support you exploring your sexuality in a healthy and consensual way, and I think most people would agree. Maybe this is all new for her and she just doesn't have the verbiage to describe how she feels. But it's not okay to turn around and fetishize sapphic relationships because she's hurting the queer community in the process of discovering herself.
Responded to it at all?
No, I made like, there was a few comments talking about like, oh, like how like she's cheating on her boyfriend, but he didn't care. So I made like a video about that. And I was just like, guys, he like doesn't care. Like he was literally there. Like he doesn't mind, like blah, blah, blah. But that's the only thing that I've like said.
Everyone has different boundaries and different preferences, and that should be decided between you and your partner. But something tells me that her boyfriend would not be okay with her kissing another dude. It's just a hunch. The overall consensus from the past couple weeks is that Tara fetishized sapphic relationships in her recent TikToks. But some people have also accused Tara of queerbaiting, which had me wondering, did Tara queerbait? Can real people queerbait in general? I've concluded that no, Tara did not queerbait. Let me explain. Queerbaiting is a marketing tactic used in film and television to entice viewers into watching a certain piece of media in hopes of there being LGBTQ+ representation. But nothing actually comes into fruition, and audiences are left disappointed. Some popular movies and shows that have utilized queerbaiting are Black Panther, Pitch Perfect, and Sherlock. However, like it always does, the internet co-opted the term and completely changed the meaning. Now people will say that someone is queerbaiting when they don't openly identify as LGBTQ+, but they display queer tendencies. This can include how someone dresses, talks, or avoids answering specific questions about their sexuality. People like Harry Styles and Billie Eilish have been accused of queerbaiting. This is very problematic in my opinion because no one owes you an explanation on their identity. There's many reasons why public figures don't or won't come out, and at the end of the day, it's none of our business. Coming out is a very personal experience, and people should be allowed to do it at their own pace. Accusing real people of queer baiting also sends the message that there's a wrong way to be LGBT. In reality, as long as you're not hurting self or others around you, there's no right or wrong way to be queer. Also, humans are multifaceted beings. Some people just happen to be straight and exhibit masculine and feminine qualities. That's just life. For those reasons, I don't believe Tara is queer baiting, and even if she wanted to, she can't, because she's a real person. But that's just my opinion. Last week, I asked you guys on my community tab to give your opinion on the recent controversy with Tara, and we're pretty much on the same page. I also asked you if you think that real people can queerbait, and I got a lot of interesting responses. Labeling behaviors based on intent can get tricky, as is determining harm to social perceptions. The immeasurable contextual differences of each individual perspective make my head hurt to think about. Same. Queerbaiting allows a promise for potential representation, hence the bait, so I wouldn't use it here. From my experience, I would call this performative bisexuality. It's not inherently harmful in its capacity to assist those on their journey to self-realization, but it is encouraged by harmful societal gender stereotypes. To see it in this context does remind me of the toxicity in bisexual erasure culture, often presenting as it's not cheating if it's with another girl, which, whether they mean it to or not, is dismissive to WLW attraction. There is a possibility that someone may be simultaneously heteroromantic, bisexual, and an exhibitionist, but those circumstances sound less harmful and more intentional than this chick's get ready with me rant. As a lesbian, yes, it 100% does, because it again perpetrates the whole sapphic relationships not being seen as real, but existing for the pleasure of men. From my perspective, as a whole, we are constantly fetishized and sexualized. The whole "my boyfriend got so excited his eyes lit up" made me incredibly uncomfortable, because it's once again opening my eyes to how the future relationships I'm gonna be in as a lesbian are always gonna be fetishized by these men, whether I like it or not. I feel like queerbait isn't the correct word, but I wouldn't know what other word to use for in a situation like this, if that makes sense. As a poly person, this feels like another example of someone not being given the tools/terminology to have healthy relationships that involve multiple people. It sounds like this could be reframed as a person being romantically attracted to men, but still sexually attracted to women. So she enjoys being intimate with women, but prefers to keep her relationships with them more platonic emotionally. She also prefers being with men who are willing to have a more open relationship. If it could be taken just for that, I would have no problems at all. But yes, the problems come in with how she frames it, that a man is weird for not wanting to see her kissing other women, that she expects them to be turned on by that. And I really don't expect that if a partner of hers turned around and wanted to be intimate with a man, or someone of any gender for that matter, that she would be as receptive as she would expect him to be. This is why we need relationship anarchy. If you have time, please make sure to go check out the entire thread, and thank you to everyone who contributed. It was nice to hear from many different folks in the sapphic community. Overall, I don't have any ill will towards Tara. I wish her the best of luck in her journey of self-discovery, and I hope she'll always be able to explore her sexuality in a healthy and sound-minded way. I also hope that one day she realizes that her words do have impact, even if her intent wasn't to be entitled or classist or fetishize lesbians or to turn on her bird. Good God. Shout out to Marty. Hope you're doing well, King. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on everything, so please make sure to leave any and all your comments down below. In general, if you'd like to see me talk about anything in particular going forward, I have a Google form linked in the description where you could submit video ideas. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a tiny thumbs up and subscribe down below. Thank you so much to Dipsy for sponsoring today's video. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time with a brand new video. Bye!